Eamon Khan here, 4 seconds. Our pleasure to be once again in the company of Robert Garcia in America as opposed to over the computer, over Zoom. Robert, a lot of talk about the fight with Hitchinson and Oscar Duarte. What has Oscar Duarte got to do to get his hands raised this weekend?
Look, we're very excited to have you here. This is the United States of America. America is a whole continent. So, but we are very happy to be here, man. We had a great camp. We know Hitchins is a great fighter, very talented, very technical, great jab. But we prepared to show what Duarte is all about. Duarte has had really good performances his last 4 fights, and he's just getting better and better. And this is a world title fight, so it's a fight that motivates him, that pushes him a little more. I think this is the best camp he's had since he's been with me.
You're one of the best brains in boxing. I'm sure you'll argue the best brain in boxing, but you said there about Richardson Hitchens, who's getting better and better. Has he peaked? Do you think there's more to come? Do you think you've seen the full, complete package of the fight that your charge is going to be in the ring with this weekend?
No, you know what? I think he's a champion that he hasn't been champion for that long. So I think he still has a lot left, so much left. I do believe that picking Duarte might have been a little too soon, but even if he doesn't come out with a win, he still has a bright future. That kid he's very talented. Like I said, I can't guarantee anything. I don't know the results yet, but our plan obviously is to win. But I think he's got so much ahead of him that this is just the beginning for him. I do believe that he's got a bright future in boxing. Win or lose, he's very talented.
What is it about Richardson Hitchens? Is it experience? Do you think there's something that's missing in his game that Oscar's going to capitalize upon?
Look, the only fighter that's closer to Oscar's style is probably Lemos, and he had a big trouble with Lemos. I know he learned a lot from that fight too, and from there he became champion, and now as a world champion, fighters take it more seriously, train harder, they have a different mentality. So all that is in his favor. All that he should have learned from the Lemos fight. But this was 2-3 fights ago. So it's one of those fights where we have a much better fighter than Lemos, bigger guy than Lemos. I think way stronger than Lemos. So that could be a big difference.
Oscar picks up the title as he planned to do this weekend. What do you want for him? What's in the offing for him?
Look, right now all we want is Saturday against Hitchens. After that, we'll think about what's out there. He says he would love a rematch with Ryan Garcia. I wasn't with him when he fought Ryan Garcia. I think now it would be a different story, especially if Ryan wins. He has no problem moving up to welterweight to challenge Ryan Garcia. But at 140, there's also big fights, man. There's also huge fights at 140. So I think that's something the team will plan out and decide after Saturday.
What do you think of Garcia's prospects against Barrios this weekend?
Look, I think it's one of those fights where Ryan is we always have that question: which Ryan are we going to see? Are we going to see the Ryan that didn't show up against Rollies, or the Ryan that performed so well against Haney? So, look, because of those questions that we don't know for sure what's going on with Ryan, I think Ryan has a chance in the first 4 or 5 rounds. After that, I think it could be all Barrios. I think Barrios is too big. He's a heavy guy, big guy. So I think after 5 rounds, it could be all Barrios.
What do you put those inconsistencies down to? Of course, Ryan had that drug test issue that came out from purely a boxing sense. What do you put that inconsistency in his performances down to?
Look, we've seen a difference from his great performance to his next fight where he didn't perform, where we didn't see anything. So that's where I'm going. We have to know which Ryan's going to show up. He could go out and blow out Barrios in 1 or 2 rounds, and I wouldn't be surprised because he's that fast and that strong. He's got power, and I know because I'm in Southern California, and I talked to his manager every week. He was calling me if I had any sparring partners that could join in because he was just getting rid of them, hurting them. So to a point where sparring partners were just leaving camp because he's too fast and too strong. So that's a good sign. If that's the case, then I think Ryan has the power and the speed to blow out Barrios in 2 or 3 rounds. But if it goes past four or 5 rounds, then that's where I kind of pick Barrios to take over.
We're from, well, at least myself and Frank are from the UK, and Conor Benn is mandatory to the winner of that fight. Do you think he beats either Barrios or Garcia?
I think he puts up a great fight against either one. I don't even know who to pick because it'll be a really good fight. I think he could beat both, or both can beat him too. But I think what Conor Ben does best is go out there and put up a great show and great fight. He's a warrior. He's a fighter. He doesn't care who he's fighting. He's going to go out there to put up a great fight. And he's done it before, and he'll do it against the best in the world.
You've had some fighters appear on the Zuffa boxing shows. What have you made of their entry into the boxing world so far?
Look, I think it's great. It's always great to have new promotions, new companies, new challenges for everybody else, because it makes everybody else step it up. Pay their fighters a little bit better, maybe fight them more often, because what Zuffa's doing is keeping the guys busy. Win or lose, they bring them back. They're paying them much better than any other promoter is. All the kids that I've had under Zuffa, which is like 6 of them, they're very excited to go. They know they're going to receive a lot of stuff for food when it comes to like 6 weeks of meal preps. When they go to the week of the fight, they help them cut weight. They have all the facilities, so they make a lot of things so much easier for them. So all the fighters are happy. They're all happy, especially when they get paid. They're all getting paid at least three times more than any other top promoter pays. So they're excited. Is it something that's going to make a difference with the fighters that are already making millions and millions of dollars? Well, maybe not for them at the moment, because it's going to be a generation that changes the sport. That's why I think all the other promoters need to work together to keep boxing so big and so strong that Zuffa could take over. As the generations move on. I think in 5-10 years from now could be a big difference, because the way they're doing it, they're keeping everybody happy.
The big question is about Bam Rodriguez and his position where he goes next. Eddie Hearn is adamant that they had a first and last. We don't know what the current situation is. I did see something on Twitter that said that maybe there hasn't been enough that's come back from Matchroom. What's the current state of play at the moment regarding Bam Rodriguez's future?
Look, it's still not. We have nothing finalized yet. We have nothing signed yet or anything. But Matchroom is, the top promoter right now in boxing. They just announced their new contract. So we have to consider all that too. You know what I mean? Eddie is doing a great job with so many promotions, with so many different fights and promoters. Next week they have the Navarrete versus Sugar Nunez. It's a co-promotion with Top Rank, and starting to do stuff like that. They're doing the same thing. They're trying to do. I don't know where it stands right now, but Vergil and Boots. It's Golden Boy and Eddie. So that's what boxing needs. Eddie is the top dog right now. So all the other promoters need to find a way to be part of it, to keep boxing strong. So that way, like I'm telling you, going back to Zuffa, that way they still keep boxing at a top level, because Zuffa's coming strong and they're doing big things. With Bam, we did get offers from different promoters, but Eddie's made his offer also, and it's very, 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 very good. And within the next few days we could finalize something. We're not in no rush. I'm doing what's best for Bam, and Eddie knows that too. That's why he also respects that I'm doing what's best for my fighter. I also work very well with Eddie and Kevin and everybody else, but I also do the same with Top Rank, with Golden Boy. I'm working very well with Zuffa right now too. So I have options, but at the end, I think the next few days we should finalize something.
Eddie's point is loyalty. Does that factor into the conversation when it comes to the negotiations, saying that he's worked with the team and Bam for so long that they expect that back from from the team? What do you take from that when Eddie comes back with that as a point in terms of the conversations and the history?
Look, loyalty is very important, not just in the sport of boxing, but in life. Loyalty is something that we've learned growing up. Our families, my parents, my grandparents, showed us to be like. And Bam is a very loyal kid. His dad, his mom, his family has taught him that loyalty is very important. So yes, that is very important, and that's why Bam is still waiting. He hasn't signed anything because he's still hoping that we could finalize everything with Matchroom, because loyalty is very important. Even though it's a business also, and sometimes promoters, I'm not saying Eddie, but promoters say, well, we've been with this kid for so many years, we made him champion. Yeah, but that doesn't mean, everything has gone perfect either. We know there's always money out there that we might not have seen. You know what I mean? So it's a business too. So I'm doing what's best for my fighter, and what I told him is, look, there's offers. There's people contacting me, and Bam told me, see what's out there. That he didn't tell me, no, I just want to be with Matchroom. He told me, see what's out there. So I'm doing my job as a manager, doing what's best for him and for his family, for the future. I had a good talk with him, and believe me, once we finalize this new deal for him, it's going to be the biggest deal any fighter has had in the lower weight classes. It's something that's gonna, Eddie knows, and he'll be happy for us too, because we've been working together for so many years that I know he's gonna be happy, even though they had to step it up a little bit more than what they wanted to, but they're also doing it because they're loyal to Bam too. You know what I mean? They also want to continue working with us because we've done it so good together for so many years that why would we break that up? It just has to be the right way for Bam. I'm doing my best for Bam, and I'm fighting to secure him and his family. He's got a family. He's got kids. 10 years from now, nobody's gonna care what Bam is doing, except for his family. So I want to make sure he's secure for the rest of his life.
My background is legal. I've read a couple of documents from the Ortiz and Boots and the Golden Boy issue, but is it going to scupper the deal? Usually when it comes to boxing and legal matters, they can drag on for years when it comes to these things, but is the fight going to happen, do you feel?
Well, look, we seen that happen to my brother Mikey. He was inactive for like a little over two years, so we wouldn't want to see that with Vergil. I think sometimes when a manager and a fighter come out and fight and to make a fight happen, at the end things happen. Things go out the right way to where we see the fight. So that's my feeling. I don't get involved because I'm not the manager. I'm just a trainer. So when it comes to the fight, I'm very confident that the fight's going to happen. And I don't know if it'll be next, but it'll be this year. I think the fight will happen. It's a huge fight. It's a fight that they both want. I think promoters also want it. I think it's a fight that I think what Rick Morrigan and Vergil did is show the world that they're willing to do whatever it takes to make this fight happen. So now Golden Boy, Eddie, they have to figure it out to make it happen, because it's such a big fight that has to happen.
A couple of quick things before I let you go, Robert. First of all, first time speaking to you since, of course, the tragedy that befell Anthony Joshua, who he's had some conversations with like Usyk and Eddie Hearn, and they feel that he will return to the ring. In your experience, when it comes to grief in sports and grief in life, do you think Joshua can return to where he was? Do you think he should return to the ring? What do you think about Joshua's future?
I think he will return, and I think he'll be healthy to do it. Look, we've seen cases before where we could say that accident ruined his career, ruined his future with Errol Spence. But Errol Spence was also drinking too much, and I know Anthony doesn't. I work with him. I was with him for a long training camp, and he's a very healthy person, very healthy. Not just healthy when it comes to drinking and partying. He doesn't do none of that. He's also very healthy when it comes to always staying in shape, always working out, not hanging around with the wrong people. He's a very, very, very calm person. Where obviously this accident hurt him very bad because two of his best friends. It was a tragic accident, but in life he's got to know that he's got to move on, and if his mind is set, I think he's got what it takes to go back to the top, man. I think this could even make him stronger.
You beat Tyson Fury?
Look, I think it's a fight that they need to do it. I think Anthony Joshua. There's two fights that I want to see from him, and I'm nobody to tell him who he needs to fight, but I think they owe it to the world, especially in the UK and England. They owe that fight. Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua needs to happen, and it's always going to be a huge fight. Could have been a few years ago, but even now it's a huge fight. But I think the second fight that I still want to see, that I would want Anthony to take, is against Wilder. Those two fights I would like to see from Anthony Joshua, because I think he could beat them both.
Do you think Wilder comes through that fight with Chisora?
Let's hope he does. Chisora's a very experienced fighter, man. Ugly style, dirty style. He's a warrior. I know Chisora personally too, and I'll actually cheer for Chisora. But I would like to see Wilder pull it off, just because I want to see Wilder fight Anthony Joshua.
Last question. When I spoke to trainers about Wilder and why the big punch isn't there anymore, a couple of the trainers have said to me that they believe that Wilder isn't punching with the same conviction anymore because he's worried about what's coming back, and that's what's taking the power away from the punch. I've also said, is it to do with the heavyweights that he's fought? Because the heavyweights he's fought recently are at higher weight than the ones he fought previously, and maybe they can absorb the punch better. But from your expert eye, what is the reason why Wilder's punch doesn't quite seem to be there anymore?
100%. You have fighters that have tremendous power and knocking everybody out, but then the moment they get hurt or they get knocked out, they get a little fear into them. So that then their power's not going to be as good, even though the power's there, but they don't let their hands go as good with that confidence, because they know they could get hit and they know they could get hurt too. So that makes a big difference. And I think that happened with Anthony Joshua, because Anthony Joshua was knocking everybody out, as a young fighter, to become a champion, hurting everybody and winning, very spectacular. But then came the fight where he got hurt. Where he got hurt, and I think that changed a lot in his mind and his mentality. So he didn't have that confidence anymore to let go of that beautiful right hand until after his loss with the second loss with Usyk, when they kept him busy like 3 or 4 fights in a row, like in 1 year or something. Like he fought like 3 times in 1 year, and then had another fight early in the next year. I think that was the best he's ever looked, because he got that confidence back. He was winning and he was looking sensational and got that confidence back. But his last fight, he got knocked out again. So then we don't know what Anthony we're gonna see next, because I think it does affect when a fighter has so much confidence, but then they get hurt or get knocked out. It does change.
Both you and Robert McCracken, who was his trainer for a long time, ensured that Anthony Joshua, when he came forward, his hands were high and up around his head so he can block shots. But trainers recently with Anthony Joshua have allowed him to keep his guard down for some reason, maybe trying to change that style. Why did you employ that same high and tight guard, which Robert McCracken did too? Why did you think that was key for him?
Well, look, why I did that against Usyk, because it was against Usyk, and I wanted the fight to be more of the inside with more body work, and I don't know if you recall, I think it was the 9th round. Anthony had Usyk hurt with body shots and they had a great round. So that was the idea. I think Anthony fights very well with his hands down and just snapping that jab and that right hand he's got a powerful right hand. So I think he's a little more comfortable with his hands down and being nice and relaxed to throw the long jab followed by the right hand. But when it comes to somebody that we want to change the game plan, maybe you got to fight on the inside. That's when you have to have your hands up, nice and tight, so you could block, but you block and you come back with punches. That's the idea, to more of an inside fight.
Robert, appreciate your time. Great, insightful conversation.
Thank you.